Okay, just confirm if you guys can see my screen. Okay, if you guys can see my screen, yeah, I will put all of you on mute now, and the same way we will follow. If you have any questions, please unmute yourself or just ping me on chat. I'm muting all. Right, so let's start with questions. So any questions so far on topics covered so far? Do you have any questions? All right, so just let me check with the Excel. We were connecting about. We were looking about all the different aspects like connecting from database to flat file to flat file, database to database, and flat file to database. We have seen all possible permutations and combinations there. And today we will be looking at how do we connect to an SAP system and extract the data. So it is a little different when compared to the standard databases. So we have a question coming up here. Okay. All right. Thanks, Gopal. So no questions today. Good. So yeah, what we need to do when we are extracting the data from an SAP system. So that is the big question, because we have seen how to extract the data from a database, which is our SQL server. We have seen how to extract the data from a flat file, and now we are going to see how we are going to extract the data from an SAP system. So this is one of the most important thing in terms of data migration, because there are quite a few scenarios in the current situation that people want to migrate into SAP systems from their SAP system. So the source and target both are SAP systems. So what can be the possible scenarios that there will be projects of this sort? All right. So to give a quite good example of one of my client in Canada. So there are two companies. One is power company and the second one is petrochemical company. And the power company acquired petrochemical company. And both the companies have their databases on SAP systems. So the petrochemical company as well as the power company, both the companies have their databases on the SAP system itself. And once the acquisition happened, they want to migrate from two different systems to one single system so that they can have a clear visibility on the entire data. And one more good example, the current project that I'm working with, it's one of the world's biggest data migration project. And if you look at that, they have a coal business, they were into mining, gold, coal, petroleum, and all these different aspects. So these guys have their data spread across various systems, SCLM Oracle system, then SAP system, then they have multiple SAP systems, data in the form of flat file. Now, once they have a good idea that they want to move everything that they have into one single SAP system, so that is the reason why it is called as a one SAP project. So there can be scenarios, these scenarios like people who are always having an SAP system as a source would like to move to the next version of SAP or to the same version of SAP in order to have the data present in a single system. Because if you want to see a sales report or a vendor report on two different systems and try to consolidate that, a same vendor can be a part of both the systems and you will be having duplicate data. So to avoid such sort of things and to have a good data present on the system, it is always important to have the data migrated to a single system. And this is one of the scenario where we'll be extracting the data from SAP and loading it into SAP. So again, you will have a quick question here saying that if it is SAP to SAP migration, why not their own in-house tools? Why you want to go for data services? Yes, that is good question, but still, as the same example given for a database to database, even though they have their own best built tools, the data services allows you to do extra transformations on the code. You can also capture the invalid records. You can do a validation on the data. You can do all the migration activities on the data to ensure that whatever the data that is coming from the source and going into the target is properly validated. Alright, so now today we will look at extracting the data from an SAP system and loading it into the flat files or into the databases. And to load the data into SAP system, we need two different mechanisms called LSMW and IDOC. IDOC we'll be looking at a little later, and LSMW, our part for LSMW is till we generate a flat file. So using BODS, we generate a flat file as an output and give that flat file to the SAP ABAPers who are like SAP programmers. So they go to the LSMW and they read that particular file, data from the flat file, and load it into the SAP system. So that is not a responsibility of the BODS designer or a developer. That is the responsibility of LSMW guy. So our responsibility is to generate a flat file, but using IDOCs, it is our responsibility to push the data into the target system. All right. So now we will see how do we establish a connection to the SAP system. So first one is take the application server name, instance number, client, username, and password from the SAP system. So these are the things that we need to collect: the application server name, instance name, the client into which we are logging into, username and password from the SAP system. And once you take these credentials, create a data store with the type as SAP application. Okay, so the second step is we need to create a data store with the data store type as SAP application. Third step, again it is same, import the tables that you want. And fourth step is build a job and execute. Again, these are the simple 4 steps that we need to do. First, we need to collect the application server name, instance number, client, username, and password from the SAP system. So these information has to be provided by the basis guys, or you can also go and see that. I'll show you how. But generally, these informations will be provided by the system administrators, SAP system administrators, who are called as basis team. Then after that, you need to create a data store with the data store type of SAP application. Then import the tables that you want, or the tables that are part of your data migration project, and build a job and execute it. All right. So we'll see the first extraction. Then we'll see the condition strips and global variables. So to get the information from SAP system, you'll have an SAP Logon pad on your install on your system. Double click that. Once the Logon pad opens, sorry. Okay, so you will see the Logon system on the right hand side. So this is on the connections, and this is one of the system that using to which we will be connecting. So if you right click on this Logon, generally when you when you want to log into the SAP system, you double click on this and it takes you to the Logon screen, where you need to key in your username, password. Okay, that's okay. So you need to key in your password, username, and the language as EM, and you have to click on enter or press enter on the keyboard, and it will take you to the SAP navigation screens. So now remember, this is the client number about which I am talking to. We have to connect that. So apart from the client number, to get the other information, right click and go to properties. And once you go to properties, you get the SAP application server number, which I will copy here. Okay, then the instance number, this is 02, the instance number, and the client, we have it 800, and username, I have my username here, and password, I have a password. So, right, so now using these credentials, I have to create a data store. And let us go and create a data store. I close this, okay, and I will also close this one. Yeah, Prakash, can you go on mute? All right, thank you. So, yeah, so we have collected all the credentials. Now go to the Data Services Designer, go to the data stores and create a data store to connect to your SAP as a source. So right click here, go for new and give the name as ds underscore source underscore SAP, and the database type is not the database, but it is now SAP application, and we have to give the application server name, which we have just copied here. So this application server name differs from system to system. So when you get to work on this system, so you got to give the username and password. Now R Samuel is my username and password. Okay, and go to the advanced and make ensure that the client number is 800. The system instance is system number 02. And if you look at this one, data transfer method, there are three types of data transfer method. Okay, custom transfer is something like you create your own custom. So apart from that, there are three types. One is the direct download. So with this direct download, what happens is whatever the data that you extract from the SAP table is directly downloaded into the Data Services Designer. Means it is staged in the staging database of the data services. So that is direct download. So if you write a query to extract 10 records from an SAP table, all these 10 records are directly downloaded into the SAP into the BODS system. Or if you have 1,000 records and if you write a query for those 1,000 records, all those 1,000 records are directly downloaded. So that is direct download approach. Second one is shared directory. So this is utilized in terms when you are having huge volume of data. So SAP we suggest that you have to use the shared directory when you are having more than 10,000 records, but if it is more than 50,000 records, you better go for a shared directory, because below 50,000 records, I have never seen any changes in the performance. But what a shared directory does is, it goes, so now it is as an SAP system in which you have a table here, okay, and you are trying to extract this table from the BODS system. So you connect it to the SAP system and you are trying to extract. So what a direct download does is it directly downloads the data to the BODS system. What a shared directory does is it creates a virtual directory within the BODS system, okay, and the data from the table is directly extracted to the shared directory, and from then the data from the shared directory is pushed out to the BODS system. Okay, why why we need something like this? Because if you look at the SAP, the structure of SAP is like it has a database at the back end, and on top of the database there is an application, and through that application you have to see the data. So even though you are extracting the data from an SAP system, it goes through the application and extracts the data. So in that case, what will happen? All the time your system has to interact with the database only through the applications. So if it is less than 10,000 records, so it is good to extract from the application. But if it is more than 10,000 records, so system there will be a pressure on the SAP system as well, and the connection should be established for a longer period of time. So to avoid such situations, what they do is this shared directory creates a virtual directory on the SAP system, and it extracts the entire data from the table and drops it into the virtual directory, and from there the data is sent to the BODS system. So that is the second option, shared directory. And the third one is FTP. Similarly, as a shared directory is a part of SAP system, and FTP will be an external file transfer protocol server. So this FTP will be an external system to which the data from an SAP table is extracted and loaded, and from there it is provided to the BODS system. So these things are used as performance optimization things. So we can directly go for a shared directory. And the next one is security profile, SAP underscore all. So that will be the security profile. Number of connections, just make it as 1 or 2, because when you connect to a SAP system using the wrong password thrice, so it will try to block the username for for some period of time, or till the administrator logs in and unlocks the username and password. So it happens, and this is number of connection retries. So if you try to connect with a wrong password by mistake for the 3 times, that particular user ID will get locked. So these are the credentials that you need to give. Application server, username, password, and then so you have the client number, the system number, instance number. Then you select a shared directory here, SAP underscore on, number of connection retries as 1, and click on apply to see if all the credentials are good. If there is any problem with the credential, it will throw an error saying that this credential is not correct. Alright, so it is not throwing error, so we assume that all the credentials are good. So now click on OK and your data store is created. Alright, so now your data store is available. If you want to do any changes, you right click on the data store, go to edit and do some changes. So name of the data store and the type you cannot change, but you can change the server, username, password, and the different credentials. Alright, so you can do the changes on that. And yeah, once your data store is available, the next step is to identify the tables that you want to use in your job, or identify the tables that will be used in your job and import the tables into the BODS designer. Alright, so now we import the tables, because we have seen the 2 types of import. One is search and the other one is import by name. So I know the table names, MARA for material master basic data, and the next one is MARC for plant level information, MARD for storage level information. So these will be the 3 tables that I will be importing from SAP. So since this SAP server that I am trying to extract is physically present in US, so it will take some time to extract the information. So MARC. So it says that you can have a system anywhere present, and it is not required for you to have this SAP system physically present on your location. So you can connect to them using these credentials, and you can extract the data from them. Okay, I imported 2 tables, MARA, MARC, and I'm importing the 3rd table, MARD. Okay, so my general material data is MARA, which talks about the general material information, and plant data for material is MARC, which states that which material is produced in which plant, and storage location for material is MARD. So MARD saves the information about which material from which plant is saved in which storage location. Okay, so these are the 3 tables that we'll be using now. Now we will see creating a job to extract the information from 3. So we have some new job here. So let us rename this and call it as job underscore SAP underscore ext. So I'm trying to extract the data from SAP and load it into a database in this scenario. Okay, so let me create a workflow first and call it as workflow underscore SAP underscore ext. So it says that we are trying to extract the data from SAP systems, and within that you create a separate data flow, df underscore mara, and df underscore marc, and df underscore mart. Okay, we created 3 different data stores, one for Mara, one for Marcy, and one for Mardi. Alright, so now I do connections, Mara to Marcy and Marcy to Mardi. So which I tell that the order of execution, that is the first one to execute, this is the second one to execute, and this is the third one to execute. So now you go to Mara and select the Mara table, drag and drop it. Okay, now you don't have any template table or permanent tables in SAP data store. Only one table is present. Second one is IDOCs. IDOCs means intermediate documents, which I was telling earlier. So using IDOCs, you'll be able to push the data into the SAP system. And the third one is hierarchies and SAP built-in functions. So only these things will be present. You will not have any template tables or permanent tables. Now you have the Mara table here. Use a query transformation connected with Mara and call this as staging underscore MARA, and you have to save it in the target database. Now open the query transformation. You might probably not clear all the fields, so take the material number and take the flag material deletion deleted for marked for deletion at the plant level, and the material type, the industry sector, material group, unit of measure, and purchase order, BSTME. Okay, so probably there are so many fields in this table, so we have to just go through the description. And in a project, they will give us a mapping sheet which will talk what are the fields that we need to extract from the source. Okay, so the functional consultant, he will tell you whether you need to extract all the information or just the information that is required for this particular module. So that tells you what are the fields that you need to extract, and based on that Excel sheet, the mapping sheet, you need to extract or drag and drop the fields from schema in to the schema out. Now let us go to the data flow Marcy and select table Marcy here, query transformation, connect, and template table, call it as staging underscore Marcy. Save it in your target data store, connect it, open the query transformation, select the fields, material number, plant, maintenance status, material marked for deletion at the plant level, and probably MRP controller and MRP type. So these are the BST lot size. Okay, so these will be the main important fields, and there are some other fields here as well, so which gives a complete information about the plant information of that particular material. Now save this one, and similarly go to the third data flow Mardi, select the table Mardi, add a query transformation, and call it as staging underscore Mardi, and save it on your target data store, connect it. Here also choose what are the fields that you want to add, and that's it. Right, I need these fields to be a part of my target table. Save your job. Your job is ready. So you are creating an extraction job. Under that you created a workflow. You created a data flow to extract Mara, and separate data flow to extract Marcy, and separate data flow to extract Mardi, and you are creating these 3 data flows within a workflow. So as I told you in the beginning, when we are talking about the definition of a workflow is a combination of data flows. Okay, so you can have more than one data flows within a workflow, which will help you to group all the related data flows together. Okay, so we have a question. Sorry. is this variable and standard SAP variables? Is the variables or standard SAP variables? Ram, can you give a more clear question? So what variables are you talking about? The variables that we are going to use in the BODS job? No, they are not standard SAP variables. We will be creating our own set of variables on the BODS side, and we will be utilizing them in the BODS jobs.
So my question is that the variables master in Marcy or Mara tables, and it's the same variables for every project, or like different variables?
Okay, actually these Mara,
the naming
Marcy,
convention.
Yeah, Mara, Marcy, Mardi are the SAP table names. They are not variables, and the data resides in these tables. So if you look at this information here, so if you look at Mara, so I open this, and this is the table structure. Okay, and I have information present in this Mara table here. Okay,
My
so
question is here, see
tables, and these are the standard SAP tables. So even if you switch from one project to other project, the table names will not change. So these are the standard tables for material information. Okay, so for material you have the tables like Mara, Marcy, Mardi, MLGN, MLGT, MAKT, MLGN I already told you. So there are 13 tables related to the material master information. So similarly, if you take customer master information, you have KNA1, KNB1, KNBB, KNBK, and some more tables are there which are related exclusively for customer master. And if you take vendor master, you have tables like LFA1, LFB1, and Lifner is the vendor number. So there are some set of standard tables. So irrespective of your project, your standard table names remain the same. So you go to project A, B, or C. So if you are trying to extract from the material master, so these will be the standard tables that you need to extract.
Okay, but the variable names will change, right? Or this,
what
these are like, man, the first variable, man DT, that is client name,
okay,
the material number, and then created on, so the day, all the variables in them.
Okay, one second. These are not the variables. These are the field names. Okay, just small correction.
Okay. Here we say fields.
Field names. Yeah.
Sorry.
And in SAP or in any database level, we call it as a table and the fields. Okay, because variables are something that they get changed quite often, and or something like the parameters that you need to provide at the time of execution. So these field names also will not change. These will be the standard field names.
Okay. Yeah, but because we used to say in my project like variables, that's why the field names.
Yeah, I understand. I understand, because these terminologies differ from project to project, Ram. I understand that.
Right.
Yeah, and thing is that when across the world, across the globe, if you go on any SAP project, and if you are working on any SAP project, these table names and the field names remain standard. They will not change.
Gotcha.
Okay, right?
Yep, that is my question. Yep, thank you.
Right, perfect, thank you. All right, so now we are extracting all these tables, and we will execute this job now. So to execute this job, select the job, right click and execute. Now this is one scenario where we are extracting the data from an SAP database, and we are trying to push it into this one. So now you see the status. Since this is from SAP, you can see the state here. First is it is in the ready state, and the row count is 0. Then it goes to the processing, or it goes to started, and then it goes to stop. So there will be 3 states when the job is getting executed. Now you see ready, proceed, and stop. So these will be the 3. So 16,580 records are extracted in 7.7 seconds. So it's even less than a second. And now this is Marcy. Marcy has somewhere around 25,000 records. Okay, 22,000 records. And now it is Marty, storage location information. Right, so 19,000 records. So all these 16,000, 22,000, and 19,000 records are extracted, and the job took around 1 minute to execute. And the extraction of each and individual tables are these things, less than a second. And yeah, your job is completed. Now you can go to the database tables and check for information. So stage Mara is having this information. And to check the table record, click on the profile tab and click on the record option. You have 16,580 records, which you see from there. So we have another question coming up. Does the table name change by version? No, Nora. The table names, everything remains same. So from the beginning, when the SAP was started till date, there is no change in the table names. So there can be addition of tables, but never the change the table names, because SAP is something that is a global standard and people follow this across the globe, and irrespective of different sort of environments or different sort of clients, they follow the same naming standard. So the field name, table names will never change with the versions or with the releases or across the ages, so they will remain the same. And here you have the staging RC information. Okay, so this question is from Rishabh. Sorry, okay, right, Rishabh. So they'll not change, they'll remain standard. And the third one is the Mardi information. So you have the Mardi information here. Good, we have all these three tables here. So now we will see how to use conditions, scripts, and global variables. Okay, so this job which we are going to be build now is almost similar to the project job that you are going to create, because once you start working on a project, you will be using these conditional scripts and global variables to create your job. And the job which we are going to create now looks exactly same, like I mean, it is one of the real-time concept or real-time job that we are going to build now. So now I have a requirement like this. I want to build a job using SAP BODS tool, but I want to have a control on the execution of the job. So now we have seen, like, we extracted all the information from three different tables at the same time, right? We extracted the data from Mara, Marcy, and Mardi at the same shot. So one job executed, all the three tables are extracted. But now I have a requirement, like I want to choose which table I want to extract, and I want to, if I execute a job, I want only one table to be extracted or two tables to be extracted. I want to choose that. I want to have that liberty where I choose which table has to be extracted. So, okay, so you have a control over the execution of the job. So that can be possible with the help of conditional, scripts, and global variables. So what is a conditional and where do you find that? So you find a conditional on the right hand side tool palette. So if you look at the graphical representation of conditional, so it is having a bidirectional arrow which says that if the condition is satisfied, it goes to the top arrow, and if the condition is not satisfied, it goes to the bottom arrow. So it tells you about two options, if, then, else. So if the condition is satisfied, the first part of the code is executed, and then if the condition is not satisfied, it goes to the second part of the code. So it is just a conditional, as simple as an if then else statement. Okay, and the second one is conditional scripts. So script is nothing but a notepad where we allow to write a code. So this is the script on the right hand side tool palette. So this script allows us to write the code. So code in the sense we are not going to write any complex queries or big SQL statements here. So we will declare the global variables at the job level so that these global variables will be available across the job. And after that, we assign a value to the global variable within the script. So it is like a very simple C program, so which we must all have learned in our school days or colleges. So C program, if you take, first thing is you create a global variable, then you assign a value to the global variable, that is creation, declaration, and usage. These are the three steps. So first you create a global variable, second you declare a global variable, means you assign a value to it, and the third one is you use the global variable within the job. Similarly, on an SAP job as well, we create the global variables so that these global variables will be available across the job. So there are two types of variables if you talk about variables. One is your global variable and the second one is your local variable. So global variable is something like you create that at the job level, and this global variable is available across the job, and local variables are created at the workflow level or at the data flow level so that they can be utilized only within that workflow or only within that data flow. But the global variables that you create at the job level, even though you you use 10 workflows or 10 different data flows, you can call these global variables across the job. So that is the advantage of having global variables. And conditions, and scripts we just read. Now let us also see the reusability of data services. So I already created these data flows Mara, Marcy, and Mardi, and let me reuse that in my next job rather than creating the data flows once again. So if you are doing a duplicate work within the BODS system, so it is always bad. You should avoid code duplication, especially the code duplication when you are working with the BODS system. So you should be in a position to reuse all things that you have done earlier. So what are the different things that we can reuse in a BODS system? So you can reuse the data flows in another jobs, you can reuse the workflows in another jobs, and you can reuse the data stores for multiple jobs, because this reusage we have been seeing from the day one. We created one target data store and we are using it for all the jobs. We created one source data store and we are using it for all the jobs. So that is reusable. The second one is, instead of creating these data flows again, I can drag and drop these data flows into my another job and I can utilize that in another job. So that is one way. And the second thing is, you can use the workflows, you can use the flat files, you can use the functions. So there are so many things that are reusable within the BODS system. So now let us create a job. Okay, I create a job for conditional scripts and global variables. I call it as job underscore COND underscore SER underscore GB. Okay, so I'm giving this naming like this: job, conditional scripts, and global variables. Alright, so now let me create a script first. So this will be the general hierarchy: SER underscore initial, where I initialize the script. Then I have conditionals like COND underscore MARA. So one conditional for Mara, second conditional for Marcy, and third conditional for Marty. Right, so I'm having three conditionals here: conditional Mara, conditional Marcy, and conditional Marty. I'm connecting them to tell the system that this is the order of execution. First the script should get executed, then it go to the conditional 1, conditional 2, and conditional 3. And now creation of the global variables at the job level. So first select the job. This is mandatory. By mistake, if you are selecting here and if you are trying to click on the global variables or variables icon, you can only create these variables at that particular level. So remember, you have to create global variables at the job level. So select the job on the project area and go to tools and go for variables. This is one way. Or the second way is click on the variables icon on the tool palette or on the menu bar. So it opens the window. This window has nothing because it says that this is the context where we are creating the global variable for this particular job. And if I select the global variable at this level, so it will say that this conditional Mara is the one where I'm going to create this job. Okay, these global variables. So I want to create them at the job level. So right click and insert. Okay. So one more thing that you need to remember: all the global variables, all the variables start with a dollar symbol here. So if you see, it has $new global variable. So now I create a global variable, so I call it as dollar. Because it is a global variable, I call it as G and MARA. Okay, this is a variable character of length 1. The second global variable is $G underscore MARC, it's a varchar and the length is 1. And the third global variable is $G underscore MARD and the length is 1. Okay, I created the global variables at the job level, that is creation of the global variables. Now I have to initialize the global variables in the script that I assign a value to that. So hash and type something that will be a comment within your script. So once you put a hash in front of any line, that particular line will not be executed. So if you want to comment some part of the script, rather than deleting them or rather than modifying them, you can just put a hash symbol in front of them. So creation or declaring the global variables. Okay, so this is the comment that I have given there, and declaring the global variables. So type $G underscore. So the global variable that you have created will be present here is equal to y in single quotes semicolon, and $G underscore marc is equal to y in single quotes semicolon. So remember the syntax. If you miss out the syntax, it will throw an error. marc is equal to capital Y and semicolon. Alright, so you can also put your signatures on the job level, right? So you created the global variables. Now you declared the global variables. Now go to the condition, and it is conditional is nothing but an if-then-else statement. If $G underscore MARA is equal to Y, then the first condition will get executed, the then part. If not, the else part will execute it. Similarly, go here and make it as if underscore MARD, sorry, $G underscore MARD is equal to Y. And similarly, we use this here, $G underscore MARC, or so I think is equal to Y here. I guess this is C I used. Yeah, it has to be marc. Okay, now we created a job at the global job and created a global variables at the job level. The second one is we created we declared the global variables at the job level, and third one is we are calling the global variables in each and every condition respectively. Now open a global variable, go to the data flow tab of your local object library, select Mara and drag and drop it here. Alright, go to marc, select marc and drag and drop it. Third one is mard, and go to mard and drag and drop it. So you can reuse your data flows. There is no need to create them once again. Now I want to execute the job in an order that I want only Mara to be executed, or only marc to be executed, or only mard to be executed. So that I can do it at the execution level. So right click and execute, click on yes, go to the global variables tab, and you see the global variables. You set this to Y, and you set this to no, and this to no, and the properties tab. And I think this, again, let us check. So generally it should take it this way. If not, the script has to be disabled. So now the data flow Mara has started, and we just assume that the job should end only with the Mara. It should not go to the next one, or we can do the changes. If it is going to the next one, then we have to probably do the changes at the script level. Yeah, it is going. So what I will do is I'll kill this job. So you can kill the jobs. Okay, when the job is executing, or you realize that there is something wrong with the job, you can kill the job by going to the monitor, selecting the job, right click and kill job. Now go to this properties. Okay, go to the properties, global variables. Okay, this is null, let it be that way. Now go to the script initialization. So instead of going to each and every conditional, changing which part of the job you want to execute or which part you want to ignore, you can do at one place that is called the script level. The script is used to control the execution of the job. So I'm changing these global variables marc and mard to n, and in the conditional they are still y. So that is the reason that n is not equal to this y, so this part will not get executed. That n of global variable mard is not equal to y, so this will not get executed. But the y of global variable mara is equal to this y, so it gets executed. So that is how it works in the background. So now I execute the job. Now you will see only mara getting executed. It will not go to the remaining data flows. It will not even think that the job is existing. It just completes the mara and it says the job is completed. So that is execute this one. Now it is in the ready stage. Okay. Another job says it is completed. It did not even recognize the remaining data flows in the job because in the script we are directing the system not to go to marc and not to go to mard. So now what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to make this as n, and I'm trying to execute marc now, and I want only marc to be executed. I don't want anything else to be executed. Alright, so I'm just changing it the script level, no changes. And if you see now, this directly jumps to marc. So it did not even think of checking another data flow called mara. It directly went to marc, even though mara is there. Okay, and it immediately says the job is completed. And now I want to execute only mard. So I'll make this as 1 y. Okay, actually it as here. So now you can imagine what are the different things that you can do in a job. So you create a standards job and you use conditionals. Alright, okay, you use conditionals like if the condition is satisfied, the first general extraction should happen. If the condition is not satisfied, the delta extraction should happen. So this is one of the most important real-time scenario how it works. So you have a project in which you are working and you are doing a normal extraction, and once the normal extraction is done, you want to do a delta on top of that. So you want to create a job in a dynamic way which will execute the normal as well as the delta part. So what you need to do is you create a conditional, and in the conditional give a statement or a global variable saying that delta is equal to yes or no. If the delta is no, then it has to go and execute the else part, and if the delta is yes, you have to execute the first part. So this is how you create a same data flow within two conditionals, if and else, and utilize them repeatedly, and you save the code that you are writing and you improve the performance of the job. And one job you're trying to utilize it for a normal extraction as well as for a delta extraction. So this improves the performance. So there are different features like this within BODS which will give you a facility to extract the data, and you can reuse them, and you can improve the performance, or you can just use the same data flow which you use for extraction for the delta purpose as well. So that is one good document that I have on that. So probably I will share it to you, or we will have a session on that one day, and how to do that option. So once you know about the tools, once you complete knowing about the tools, how you utilize that, then I'll tell you how you can use the same data flow to perform a delta operation and a normal extraction. So which is, I mean, if you just talk about that in your interviews, probably that would give a very good impression, because people who work on board for more than 4 years will never know that. Okay, that is that kind of complexity it has. So that will give a good points to you in your interviews, or it is a good knowledge gaining thing which we'll be discussing a little later. So now we are done with connecting to the SAP system, extracting the data from an SAP system, and using condition scripts and global variables. So tomorrow we'll be looking at the central repository, single user instance, and multi-user instance. Again, that is an administrator's role. But yeah, as I told you earlier, you should be aware of each and every role. It is not just a developer's part or an administrator's part. So we'll be looking at both. So we'll be looking at the concept of central repository, how to create the central repository, and what is a single user project, how a single user project will be designed, and how a multi-user project will be designed, and what are the differences. So that will also be one of the points where it promotes you in the interviews, and it gives you good points, and also it is very a good knowledge gaining topic. So this is one more thing that we'll be looking at tomorrow. So before I wind up, I would like to ask if there are any questions. Please ping me on the chat or unmute yourself and ask. And if you don't have questions right now and you are afraid that you might get a question a little later, as I told you, please send me an email to my email ID. Okay, so any questions? Oh, all right. So output is one and the same, Rishabh, because we have already seen that earlier. So if you go for DF Mara, you have the same information available in the table. Okay, and if you go to DF Marcy, the same information, and DF Marty, you get the same information. Okay, the same information is available because we are not creating some other new data flow. We are reusing the global, we are reusing the data flows. And Gopal, for your questions, yes, at the runtime we can pass, okay. Yeah, we can pass the global variables at the runtime because that is how the job is designed to do, designed to execute. So at that time, what you'll do is you'll not initialize the values in the script level, and you view it in the global variable. So how the job executes first is it checks at the time of execution in the global variable list if there is any value. It has to take the value, and if not, if it is not able to read those values from there, it will go to the script and take the default values. Or even if it is not there at the script, when you are creating a global variable, you can also define that with a default value. Okay, so now you can see this. You have an option here where you can define a default value for this global variable. So this is one more place where we can give the global variable. So the first system checks at the job execution level. If not present, then at the data flow, then at the script level. If not present, then at the global variable level. So that should be the way of execution, but there is some patch problem on the system, so which it is not able to recognize the values that we are giving at the job execution level, but generally it should work that way. So any more questions? Good questions, Rishabh. Good question, Gopal. Any more questions we have? All right, so if you have any more questions, please email me. I'm glad to respond to you to my emails. And yeah, so we'll catch up tomorrow, same time. So probably if you guys are just there as the same way that you are on time every day, so probably we can complete the class. And tomorrow, that is Friday morning and Thursday night for the people in US, we will have a class. And on Sunday, on Friday morning, tomorrow night I am traveling, so probably we will have, yeah, Rishabh, I'll send it to you. And on Sunday morning, probably we might have a class a little late, or we'll postpone the class for one day, because I'm not sure if I'm going to reach there early in the morning by 6 and I'll be able to take the class at 7, or if the transportation gets delayed. So I'm not sure about that. So that I will keep you posted about the delays, and if there is a postponed class on Saturday. And again, Sunday night for me is like, for India it is Sunday morning for us, on Sunday morning, and for US it is Saturday night. So Friday night probably, Rishabh, you will not have a class, and Saturday night again we have a class, and again we will postpone that on Monday, because Monday I'll be reaching back to Bangalore. Or I'll keep you posted with the schedule. So no need to worry, we'll tell you one day in advance about the schedules. Okay, so all right guys, thanks for your time, and see you tomorrow at the same time in the morning. All right, have a good day. Right, Rishabh, thank you, bye.